Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Fallen London. Today we're going to be looking at September's exceptional story, The Path of Blood and Smoke. As always, there are spoilers ahead. You should support Failbetter, become an exceptional friend yourself, play these stories. Not only do you get access to these stories, you get an extra candle and bigger deck and various other benefits that are very good indeed. And obviously, if you want to help support me, there's a coffee, and you can also become a member of the channel. And while you're there, you may as well subscribe and like. But without further ado, beyond a simple chance encounter. That evening, you see the gentleman in the lace bandages everywhere, engaged in furtive conversation with costermongers, head dipped before the grand doors of St. Fiacre's, strolling sedately through Tyrant's Gardens, hands clasped behind his back. He is unmistakable in every respect. A tomb colonist with fine lace wraps, dressed head to toe in priestly black. A sparse headdress of jade and crimson beads hangs over his face. Is he following you? Are you following him? He clutches a stone tablet in gloved hands, and once you think you catch him comparing it to your face. We can either confront the man, either he is tailing you, or you are the subject of a truly historic series of coincidences. Either way, you intend to get answers. We can avoid him. If he's following you, well, people rarely initiate covert trails with good intentions. If he's not, then your walk home will just be slightly longer. Let's confront the man. It is the damnedest thing. One moment, you see him at the corner of your eye, peering into a shop window on Lusitano Row. But when you move towards him, the foot traffic swells. A gentleman sporting an obnoxiously tall stovepipe crosses in front of you. When his hat leaves your vision once more, the man in the lace bandages is utterly gone. You stand before the window display, a collection of premium hunting knives, and find your quarry nowhere at all. You move to turn away when a hand snakes out from a neighbouring alleyway and closes around your arm. My apologies, my lady. The voice is smooth, charming. The hand is gloved in soft kid. I believe you were looking for me. The tomb colonist steps from the shadows, lifting his hand from your arm with a wry smirk of apology. He is young for one who wears the bandages. His mouth and chin are visible below the fine lace-like fabric, revealing smooth and copper skin. My apologies for appearing in the darkness like a common cut purse. The business I'm here attending to is sensitive. He bows, low and long and far out of fashion, and the red and jade beads adorning his face chime. I am an emissary from the Grand Sanctorium of Venderblight, seeking the aid of a particular individual. He surveys you for a long moment. You wouldn't happen to be a historian? You've been known to dabble? But how would he know that? Knowledgeable about the third city? They say London is the fifth city, and that there were 4 before. You have many fine third city specimens in your collection, but how would he know that? A person of importance in this city? It must be evident from your regal bearing, your good fashion sense, your aura of worldly significance. That's just from being a person of some importance? Have I caused offence? Your hand is held up to stop him. You will not answer his questions. That he has correctly identified you is irrelevant. You fight the urge to wince when he calls you by your name. You do not deter to mysterious, black-robed strangers. Let's just go with a historian. Because I am an archaeologist, I am interested in the history. The Lace-Wrapped Emissary smiles, holds a finger up, and produces a small tablet from within his robe. Its limestone surface is covered in a grid of tiny drawings, fanged faces and curling hands, and jungle beasts depicted in round, cartoonish sweeps. You recognize the script. Although it is rare to find in London, the logograms of the third city. The emissary smiles once more, and this time his lips part, revealing white, sharp teeth. Would you believe me if I told you this meeting was foretold? That I am here attending to matters of prophecy? The tablet disappears back into his robe. Little flakes of yellow stone drift to the cobbles. It is difficult, with his bandages and jewelry, to tell where the emissary is looking. I do not need oracular prowess to know that such pronouncements elicit questions. Well, let's ask about this so-called prophecy. This is the Neath. Portents and ill omens are common as muck. The tomb-colonies are not solely a sanctuary for the disgraced scions of London's socialites. In the Grand Sanctorum, we can trace the colony's history back to the priest-kings of the third city, the ones they call the God-Eaters. His voice is quiet. In our archives at the Santoria, there are records. The priest-king's schemes span centuries. A cataclysm of arrangements draws near. The agents of Zybalba are working in the northern colonies to bring about its fulfillment. I have been sent by the last curator to seek aid in preventing it. He has the self-awareness to look sheepish. Our records, which to say prophetic writings, also say that someone matching your description might be able to stop it. Well, I can press him on the God-Eaters. The ancient rulers of the third city are seldom mentioned. He rubs the exposed skin of his chin with a kid-gloved hand. An ancient triumvirate of war leaders. The Red Bird, the Mottled Man, the Serpent-Handed, many other names besides. The emissary runs his fingers over jade and cinnabar beads after saying each name, as if warding off a curse. In the bargain for the future of the third city, they became powerful beyond reckoning. His voice is quiet, brimming with fear or awe. Many of our records have been destroyed, by time or the priest-king's agents. But we know an inflection point draws near, a time where they will ascend further, or perhaps be halted. We can try to demand looking at the tablet ourselves. If it references you directly, then it is only fair he let you have a look. Only a 70% chance. Yeah, we succeeded. Certainly. His words are clipped and smooth, and betray no sense of irritation. The rounded logograms of the third city ring a central image. It depicts a lone figure on a rocky crag, facing a wall of something ominous and fluid. A flood, or perhaps a screen of smoke. There is a knife on the ground before them, and though the figure is turned away, and the image heavily stylized, you cannot deny that it looks familiar. It looks like you. The bottom half of the tablet is broken away, leaving a jagged scar across the figure's torso, and cutting the inscription in two. While the stone itself looks undeniably as old as the emissary suggests, the fracture appears new. I really hope I'm not being taken to some sort of sacrificial double cross here. I guess time will tell on that one. Well, let's ask after the Grand Sanctorum. It's not the first time we've been there, but we haven't been there in a while. It is as much of a central government as the tomb-colonies possess. Why did they send only one emissary? A courteous nod in acknowledgement of a worthy question. We are hardly well equipped for a swift action in the colonies. I have the advantage of being both young, for my fellows anyway, and a scholar of our histories. Most other able-bodied labour is reserved for the unceasing construction of the Santoria. The emissary's mouth opens in a sly grin. That would be the politic answer. The truth is, the last curator puts little stock in ancient prophecy and didn't wish to send too large a contingent to chase after stories. A shrug. It is the fate of all oracles to be ignored at critical moments. Fortunately, I do not need an army. I need you. Well, let's finish our questioning. The emissary's serene expression is betrayed by the restless tapping of a foot somewhere beneath his robes. I recognize that this might be difficult to believe. His copper discs glint in the gaslight. Very little evidence survives, and that which does is hardly legible to the average citizen of the Fifth City. And yet, here I am. I can ask only for you to trust me. He spreads his hands wide. I leave your city for the colonies on the morrow. I will wait for you on Hood's Bridge in the meantime. I leave you to perform whatsoever due diligences you find necessary. He offers a formal, old-fashioned bow and glides into the London gloom. Though we appear to have two options here, futures and histories. A man in priestly black, his face obscured. Does that just take me to speak to him? No, I can try and verify some information that he said, huh? A prophecy of ancient make, an urgent call that only you can answer. It is an intoxicating prospect, which is precisely why it merits verification. Many and pitiful are those citizens who lose everything to the schemes of London's confidence men. We can hit the stacks. Between your private collection and the London libraries, there must surely be information that can verify the emissary's claims. Here, in a crumbling anthropologist's The Annals of Dust, you find reference to the black-robed emissaries of the Sanctoria. In the time of the Fourth City, deep in Benthic's restricted section, and heavily redacted by the Ministry of Public Decency, you learn brief snatches about the God-Eaters, red machines of destiny and predestination. And everywhere, oh so prolific, are the scattered works of London's fidgeting writers. Epics of rambling and chaotic verse on the subjects of black glass and hunger. Everywhere you find small snatches of support for the Lace-Wrapped Emissary's story. But small is the key. Any one of these could be a coincidence. In toto, there is a swarm of corroborating trivia, but the man himself, of his specific prophecy of you, that is nothing at all. So we can consider the situation through the lens of lies. If you were dishonest, which naturally you are not, and sought to deceive a mark, which of course you would never do, could you build a story such as this? That is an artistry to building falsehood from snatches of truth. Many of these facts, researched beyond the emissary's control and out of his sight, are doubtless true. The question is, therefore, whether these truths could be woven to serve false ends, to lure you north for reasons unknown and sinister. Undoubtedly, the answer is yes. You could do it, with time and with thought. Does this mean he has? Does this mean that anything that could be false must be? This train of thought is a cauldron of paranoia. You consider his manner, the restlessness of his foot, betraying an almost hidden anxiety. The tightness around his mouth that spoke of urgency and a desire for control. The ardency that pushed through the mask of priestly calm when speaking of his prophecy. There was a belief in his words that is strikingly difficult to fake. He believes that your presence is required for something vital. And always, your suspicions circle back to the matter of the tablet and its stark depiction of your own good self. Writ in stone as ancient as the third city. If this is a trick, it may be one centuries in the making. It is small comfort. The mole man roars, the heavens crack. As you step out from your researching and into London's smog, hands grasp at your ankles. Thin, not-knuckled fingers clutch at your feet. A pen lies discarded on the cobbles, its nib red with something that does not look at all like ink. Let's wrestle my ankle free. It does not do to grant control over one's feet to cobble side assailants, not even if they speak in verse, perhaps especially so. The poem, they speak to me, but I don't know the last verse. The man's gaunt face stares up at you, the whites showing all the way around stark grey irises. You know how it ends. You will know how it ends. You must tell me. Help me finish it. His eyes rove, checking and rechecking shadowed corners of the street. They're coming for me. I can hear them in the glass. Please, I've seen you there, the place of fright. I must know how it ends. He piles papers into your hands, all sodden black and red with ink and worse. A cat arches its back, slinking from the dark and into the amber gaslight. The fidgeting writer shrieks, scrambling backwards on the stone, and stagger sprints into the night. The cat offers only an insouciant meow before itself gliding away between two wrought iron fence posts. You are left alone in the street, clutching utterly illegible poetry in your arms. Okay, well, that didn't really help, but apparently mad people know what's going on, so that's never a good sign. An answer foretold. You find the lace-wrapped emissary on Hood's Bridge, as promised, looming out of the murk like a bleak statue. He does not bother with pleasantries, although his foot agitates beneath his robes when he spots your armful of blood-spattered poetry. So the priest king's raving puppets have got to you even since last we spoke. I hate to press you, but time is short. If we are to stop the agents of the priest kings, we must sail north as soon as possible. He steps back, and a mischievous grin spreads across his downturned face. His eyes are still inscrutable beneath the translucent bandage mask. Prophecy notwithstanding, I believe you are the kind of person who needs to know what happens next. So we have a few options here. We can accept gladly to prevent catastrophe, an urgent mission to disrupt a foul and ancient prophecy. This is serious business, and naturally, you are the best person for the job. We can accept in pursuit of knowledge of the third city. People speak little of the cities that fell before London. Whether this is prophecy or codswallop, it is an invaluable opportunity to learn more. We can accept making clear your doubts and reservations. Nobody governs your future but your own good self, but the emissary's proposition is intriguing, and it is undeniably you. on that tablet. We can accept on the strength of your own research you've identified a large enough strand of truth in this uncertain morass to merit further investigation. And if this is a trick, well, you are better equipped to fight back than most. Or we can accept nurturing deception in your heart. Accompany the emissary about his business, but your motives are your own. You do not need to stop this catastrophe at all. Let's accept with the pursuit of knowledge. The relief in the emissary's voice is audible. He clasps his hands together, the soft leather muffling his enthusiasm. Excellent. Unsurprising, of course, but excellent. He turns and gestures for you to walk beside him. All of his movements are quiet and graceful. I have a clipper waiting for us at the docks. It will speed us to the colonies. Forgive the presumption. I charted it long before our meeting. He does not sound sorry at all. This represents a valuable research opportunity. A clipper of black and red. The Lace-Wrapped Emissary ship is moored in a private berth near Wolfstack. A sleek, expensive-looking vessel with a dark hull and wood inlays of deep red. Not my choice, but it was the fastest boat available in Santoria's harbour. Protestations notwithstanding, it's clear the emissary has a certain affection for the showy vessel. In his black robes, he suddenly looks at home, a morbid figure head, come to life to act as captain. I mean, I can take my own vessel or I can climb aboard. Should we take our own vessel? You can attest to its seaworthiness, and you'd rather be your own captain. Let's see what he says. The emissary shakes his head, and the headdress clinks like a restless chime. I do not doubt your nautical prowess or the worthiness of your vessel, but speed and prudence are the watchwords here, and this ship bears diplomatic colours. Otherwise we would never be permitted in the waters around Xibalba. He steps aboard, not waiting for a response. Fair enough, the Z awaits, and beyond that the tomb colonies, and the doom of ancient make. The emissary puts a hand out to steady you, then withdraws it as it becomes obvious that you have no need of it. We are used to frailer constitutions in the colonies. Again, he flashes those 2 white teeth. Your presence is a comfort. Carved predictions are one thing. The real world is quite another. He busies himself below, and the engine purrs into life, leaving the bay of Wolfstack docks. The clipper turns northwards, towards frigid waters and the greenish fires of Venderblight. The little black boat chuffs over the Untersee's black mirror. Your journey is reflected beneath you, distorted by your wake. The landmarks of the north fade into view through the mist. The crags of Carissa's Point, and the islet of Hornman's Stag with their twin lighthouses. The southernmost lights of home, murmurs the emissary. Can we speak of the third city? The lace-wrapped emissary paces the deck, as if measuring the moments until his foretold doom. Many of the records of the third city are lost. He strokes his chin. Sometimes I think that may be a good thing. The third city changed after it fell. The air is cold. The burnished metal of the emissary's jewelry glints with reflected ice. He produces a fragment of carving from a pack. On the surface, the third city took many of its customs from the land, the sun, and stars. A beautiful geometry. His fingers linger over the star on the artifact, a solar body with a face at its center. Their fall created a void the priest kings filled with black smoke. The emissary considers a passing ice flow. They viewed the city as nothing but a tool for their endless ascension. The same way they viewed the fourth. The same way they view the fifth. There's an edge to his voice. Something sharp. His eyes are inscrutable beneath his bandages. Let's inquire about possible opposition. There is little else to do on this tiny boat. Might as well lean on the railing and ponder your prophesized opponents. What do you know of the copper? The emissary's jade beads bumped softly against his bandages. Servants of the priest kings. They persisted long after the third, even had prominence for a time in the fourth city. Their scattered remnants survive in the colonies, disciples of the knives and the well, black glass and blood. His mouth twists downward, rueful. Then he shakes himself from whatever reverie has captured him, and claps his hands. Beads and metal jangle. Well, we are heading for them now. I hope to catch them about their ritual. And finally, we can ask about recompense. Once the prophecy has been prevented, or perhaps simply failed to come to pass, the Grand Sanctorium will owe you a significant debt. The Lace-Wrapped Emissary lets out a low chuckle. Ah, the famous mercenary streak of the Londoner. Yes, you will receive your due. He leans on the railing, watching the Z and ice. As do we all. In time. Oh, let's step ashore. A forlorn spit of Z-slick rock, black and sharp. We alight here, says the emissary. The air is crisp, not quite clear, nor free of the humidity that comes from life in a vast, damp cave. But it is chillingly cold in your lungs, sharp and shocking. Icicle daggers in your throat with every inhalation. Here, the waters of Shepherd's Wash transform into the icy depths of Void's Approach. Further north than anyone sensible and warm-blooded would voluntarily live. Offshore, to the east, lie the enigmatic islands of the kingdoms of Codex and Wither, frigid lands of unanswered questions. The ground is black beneath your feet. The emissary ties his boat to a half-rotted mooring and glides inland. Far from the inhabited tomb colonies, the lost architecture of previous cities shows through, like the bones of an ancient beast. Vanderblight, despite its venerable age, has built new structures atop the old. Here only the old remain. Steeped temples, complexes in grey and weathered limestone rise from the ice. Stucco facades depict bulbous scenes made indistinct by time and moss. Monoliths hewn from darker mineral, black like starlight, dot the landscape and causeways. Paved with flat slabs of bluish rock mined from beneath itself, crisscross the wastes. He flips through a yellowing notebook. The ritual place is to the north, he says, where the lost colony of Xibalba once stood. Once there were rivers here. The emissary speaks simply, but not without a certain pride. Estuaries pumped through glass by the bargains of the priest kings. Beneath your feet, the riverbed is cracked and dry. The rock is discolored and oddly corroded, as if whatever once flowed here was angry and violent. The emissary consults his notes once more. This would have been the river of pus, I think, or perhaps the river of blood. He offers a wry grimace, sharp incisors catching the light. It is difficult with these ancient texts to separate the allegorical from the literal. On the other side of the cracked riverbed, a road of yellow stone proceeds north. Prophecy as you now. But before we venture north, I think this is a good place for me to end the first episode. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, let me know what you think. Your comments are greatly appreciated. Thank you again to the members of the channel. It really does mean the world to me and help me make these videos. But as always, I'll see you next time.